Okay, so today in the booth, we got Mario from We Are Sacramento with us. How you feeling, man?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate
Appreciate you.
you for coming through, my boy.
Hell yeah.
So, where you from for the people who don't know?
Well, originally, I was born in El Salvador
Okay.
and landed in San Francisco, and then eventually, 9 years ago, became a Sacramentan.
Hey, that's tight,
Yeah.
bro.
Hell yeah.
So, how was life growing up in Salvador? Salvador.
It was different.
Hmm.
Everything was in Spanish.
Okay. No subtitles and shit. Huh?
No subtitles. But I can say that, it was very different, very structured.
Mm.
And then got here to the States, and it was like, oh shit.
A
Like,
change.
it's a complete cultural clash in the sense that I could just go do things by myself, go to the park,
Mm-hmm.
and I was 13 when I came here, so it was like, oh damn, like do things over there you couldn't really do that,
Right.
you know what I mean? So
You
yeah.
can live life regular.
Yeah, a little regular, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was crazy.
A lot safer, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot safer out here, so yeah.
What kind of music you was listening to over there?
So crazy thing is that rock was huge out there.
Wow.
So listen to a lot of rock like Pantera, Poison, Metallica,
Okay.
AC/DC, Bon Jovi, all these things, you know what I mean? And then when I came over here, then I was, not discovered, but found rap.
Mm.
Run DMC was one of my first songs that the groups that I found.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit, what is this?
Here.
And then from there it's like, different story. Yeah.
So you went to San Francisco at 13?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
must have been like you said, a real culture shock.
Yeah.
How was it like growing up in Frisco?
It was fun because, San Francisco the early 90s is a different place, you know what I mean? And the music was always great. The art scene was always great. There was a lot of things to do for someone like me that found it, that, oh shoot, like we're going to a soccer game and I got to catch the bus to get there, and we're playing a whole different school and there's like no parents. It's just the coach and you, and
right.
It's very different, you know what I mean? So, but I could say the least, it was fun and it taught me a lot, you know what I mean? It took some time to assimilate just because of the language barrier at that time for me, but I learned English pretty quick, you know what I mean? I still got an accent and all, which I wouldn't want to lose anyways, but, I learned it pretty quick and it was pretty dope.
That's tight,
Yeah,
bro.
yep.
Do you remember like the first CD you ever bought?
The first what?
CD.
Ha! Yeah, All Eyes on Me.
Okay.
All Eyes on Me, Tupac.
That's fire.
Waiting in line at Virgin Records on Market Street.
Wow.
That's those times, yeah. First, yeah, waiting in line for it. That was pretty dope. Yeah.
Real experience, but that's a real life experience, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because a lot of people just hear it on YouTube and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Now, if you want to listen to something, you just
YouTube it. But to actually be in line for the release of the album,
and then you get to talk to the people that are waiting for it, and you get to talking about. It's funny because then you had all these conversations about a person while they were still alive. And then you find yourself, now that he's passed a long time ago, you're still having those conversations. So every time I talk about Tupac, I always go back to that first CD I bought of his. You know what I mean? So it was
impact.
Yeah, definitely made an impact in my life. You know what I mean? So yeah.
How about like, how'd you feel when he got passed and shit?
It was funny because, well, not funny, but it's crazy how when he passed, it's almost like, I'm not a fanatic of people or of things, but I definitely feel a connection to people. You know what I mean? And I think that if you really appreciate artists and things like that, I think you look past the fanatic part and you just attach yourself to their art, right? And not the person themselves, to give them their privacy. But I think when he passed, for me, it was a matter of like losing that voice that I thought taught me a lot of things, or how to maneuver like the social construct when I arrived out here, where it was like, okay, like it taught, like rap music taught me slang.
Facts.
Like figures of speech and what things meant, or like you could say
easy way of speaking.
Yeah, easy way of speaking. For me, that was because someone that speaks Spanish, the actual English language doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Because there's so many rules that don't make sense.
Yeah.
So
English language doesn't make sense, period.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? So, but to me, say, hey, man, is you good? and use that sentence to describe so many different feelings,
right.
that makes sense to me.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts,
like,
facts.
yeah. So yeah.
That is crazy. That is crazy to think about, though, bro. Like, to other countries and shit, everywhere that speaks anything besides English, like,
yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
it doesn't make any sense.
We literally, like, just made that shit up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And stole bits and pieces from wherever else.
Different languages, yeah.
That's crazy to think about that type of shit.
Oh yeah, but yeah, man, it definitely sucked when he passed, because again, it was it was a voice that, not only when you think of the value or the impact, like the stuff that he said in some of those songs, when you look at his interviews, I think there's still an impact that's it's making in the right people. You know what I mean? Again, like, I mean, I perceived him as a poet to an extent.
Facts.
You know, and people.
A lot of people did.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't speak like him anymore. You know what I mean? I think there's remnants of that in certain people, but I think that I think the culture has lost a few of those people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah.
So when did you move to Sac? Like, what made you come to Sacramento?
My kids. So their mom is from Sacramento, Citrus Heights to be exact. They live right here down the street, actually, not far from here, like 5 minutes of that. And so that, I didn't want to do the whole weekend warrior thing. I know the baby mama was like, "Hey man, when are you coming out here? The kids miss you and that kind of stuff." So that kind of put a little bit of pressure on me to try to make it out here as quick as I could. You know what I mean? That made sense. And so yeah, that's why I moved out here. Yeah.
That's tight, bro.
9 years ago. Yeah.
So being in Sac for like 9 years, like you say, how you feel about the Sacramento music scene?
There's a lot of fucking talent, but there's a lot of talent, and then there's a lot of talent that doesn't have direction.
Right.
And I cannot wait till all this talent finds that direction at the same time, because you have all these like amazing artists that are up and down. You know what I mean?
Facts.
But once they move together as one, Sacramento's gonna get all that recognition that is deserving for all these years. You know what I mean? Because I mean, shit. Look at people like the Philharmonic. That dude is fire all day, no matter when or where he sings or what he sings. Crazy talent, and that I think that Sacramento has a lot of that. You know what I mean? Even when you look at rap, you know what I mean? It's a matter of that. So.
Yeah, Sacramento's a real hidden gem for like the music.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get that light pretty soon, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's getting there. I think there's a lot of people that are doing the work so that happens. So yeah, so I love it. That's what I think. I think it's this like baby that's growing, and it's gonna take a bunch of parents to like build it up.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So all these old heads that have been in the game for a long time, we gotta stick around and do the work. You know what I mean? Don't move away. And if you do come back, yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's what I feel about it.
That's tight, bro.
Yeah.
What makes you Sacramento proud?
Shit, I think is the people, and knowing that there's people that are from here, there's people that are not from here, but the moment you move here, like, you rock Sacramento. There's a level of that once I became an entrepreneur, I think there's a level of support that isn't there in many other cities. You know what I mean? Like, if you need something, you could always hit somebody up.
Facts.
And they'll give you some advice on something that you may or may not need to do. There's always someone there, you know what I mean, to help you out with some things. And I think the community is tight. There's a sense of community where you still know your neighbors.
Straight up. It's small. It's a small enough city to where you can still mingle with people next to you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I think I love that about Sacramento. And one of the biggest things that I love about Sacramento, or makes me proud to be from here, as I'm wearing this fucking 49er sweater, but is that it's the underdog. No matter, I don't think that's ever gonna change. And I love working from that space. As a person and as a community or a city, I love working from that space, because that just means that we're not gonna our ego is not gonna get in the way of the mission.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's what makes me proud to be from here.
That's tight, bro. Straight up, yeah. Sacramento's definitely like a real place to be.
Yeah.
Honestly. It's definitely. I know we're the capital. We don't get enough credit for being just Sacramento. Period.
No.
Like, it's a lot going on in here right
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a lot going. This past few years, the past 10 years have been great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you've moved here and you've stuck around and you've created something for yourself, you know, you're really literally helping a city that's, you know, developed literally.
Yeah.
You're developing a sense of community, or you're building a community. If that's something that you're doing, I think that's special, because again, like Sacramento is that space to do it at. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love it here, bro.
That's tight, bro.
Yeah.
That's dope. What's up with the sunglasses, bro?
So this is a tip of my hat off to Santana Must Die, because he wore his in his interview. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. That's that. I was like, fam, that dude will wear his sunglasses in the storm. Like anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, that's him though.
That's tight,
I love that guy. That's one of my peoples, man. I love him.
Shout out to you for peeping all the interviews.
Yeah. Yo, yeah, I peeped him. I was like, oh, what the hell? I was like, shit, I'm gonna do it too.
What's the best advice you've been given?
Best advice that I've been given is to be myself, and to be unapologetic about being myself, and that never try to match the surroundings. You know, and if the surrounding is not to my liking, change it. You know, and if someone ever makes you feel like you need to apologize for being you, then they're not your people.
Right.
You know, and that's probably the best advice that I've gotten when it comes to business. And I would say on the personal level, you know, I had a homeboy that told me that not everyone that smiles and talks to you is your friend. And so I tried to move in that way. And I think we've had one or two conversations, you and I think you can get where I come from. You know, I'm a very guarded person. You know what I mean? But not guarded in the sense where I'm not approachable, but it's just I let the room come to me. I don't go to the room. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's probably the best advice that I've been given.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
What's some advice you give to the people?
I think that if one advice I could give is that work hard at whatever you do, and that no one is going to give you what you're passionate about. Never look to be made happy. Just make yourself happy. You know, and doing whatever you do, you could be shoveling snow for all you know, but if that's what you love to do, don't let nobody tell you any different. You know what I mean? And I think that don't let people feel intimidated because your dreams are bigger than theirs, and things and those things. And even to even kind of end it on that note is to, if your dreams don't involve other people, they're not big enough. So think of that. So you know that's something I could say, because I think that, you know, having drive, and it's a special thing. You know, be ambitious. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, ambition and greed is two different things, and I think some people get that misconstrued. And I think that, you know, if we all just have that drive and push, I think, you know, society still has a big chance. You know what I mean? So yeah, that would be my advice to the people.
Words, wise words, man. Wise words, straight up. So how'd you start We Are Sacramento?
We Are Sacramento, man. That's my baby, man. I'm a photographer.
Okay.
And so I was working on this thing called the study of hands. And I didn't know what the hell to call it. Right. But I was already in the works of wanting to start a podcast, and came up with a name, We Are Sacramento.
Okay.
And then that's how it started. It started from my photography, and then it's all kind of just, you know, took off, to say the least. So that's how I got started in the, you know, in the 12x12 room, just in a vision, you know, and a couple friends.
Straight up.
So yeah, that's how I got started for my photography. Yeah.
How'd the nonprofit thing go? Like, how'd that come into play?
So we're actually a LLC.
Okay.
Right. I wanted it to be a nonprofit, but the crazy thing is that it's so hard to be a nonprofit.
Mm.
It takes a lot and a lot of scrutiny. And then I go, well, if we're local and we're just doing the work, it's better than a nonprofit to an extent, right? We're just not
Right.
getting all the tax breaks. So yeah, that's how that. So I wanted it to be a legit business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wanted people to see that we're moving in the right direction and that we're working from a place of trying to do the right thing.
Right.
In a matter of we're trying to reach people and actually make an influential impact
Mm-hmm.
in people's lives. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how all of that kind of came about. Yeah.
What do you guys do at the loft?
So at the loft, we pretty much host events, like like you kind of experience yourself. We host events. We have art shows. We have that's where we house our podcast. We are Sacramento, and I produce two other podcasts. And shout out to Bella and Phil. One of them is Art Everywhere, and somebody needs to hear this.
Okay.
And we produce them there, and that's part of what we do. Um, we also have private dinners.
Mm.
A chef comes in and they do dinners for people. And the way we work it is we work on a donation base. For the most part, that's how we started. But if there's a X amount of hours, then we kind of change the way we charge it.
Right.
But for the most part, if it's less than 3 hours, then it's donation based. Because I think we found that there is a gap between creatives and creatives finding an affordable space to do their thing.
Yeah.
Whichever what creative realm you're in, there's very little to none spaces that offer what we do. And by we I mean also Kayla, which is she's also part of We Are Sacramento, but she is my partner with the loft.
Mm.
We're responsible for that,
Right.
for those two units. And we just kind of decided that we like people need help. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And that we're there for it, and then for as long as it makes sense. You
Right.
know what I mean? And that's what we do there. And we're building again, like we've said before, just a community of creatives or people that are just wanting to do what they love,
Mm-hmm.
hands down.
That's tight, bro.
Yeah,
So how'd you get locked in with Oak Park Brewery?
man, that was a good one right there. One of the owners, Becca Scott, shout out to her. She's an amazing person too. Hit me up and told me, "Hey man, can we meet? I love what you're doing with your social media." I said, "Okay, cool." You know, showed up to their place. I had a meeting, and they were like, "Oh," so we had this meeting. We're shooting ideas. They needed help. They had just kind of reopened the
Mm-hmm.
brewery, switched ownerships, and they just kind of wanted to see what we can do to help in regards to just helping them
Expand.
expand or
Yeah.
on their social media or whatever, change the image. You know what I mean? Um, and then when I left, we left it as we don't know what we're gonna do, but we're gonna work together. I said, okay, cool. And then months later, we had a pop up, and then uh, Becca and Jeff, her husband, shout out to him too. He's one of the brewers.
Mm.
I said, hey man, what if we did a beer called We Are Sacramento?
Right.
He kind of took it in and he was like, talk to Becca. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I know what that meant. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I was like, okay, cool. And then he knew that me and her kind of had a relationship, so he didn't want to step on any toes. But I think if I'm not wrong, something kind of clicked,
He
in his
moved.
head. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then we had that meeting. I said, man, I had this in my pocket. So what if we do a beer? We Are Sacramento, and this is what it means. This is
Mm-hmm.
what it is. And I'm blessed to have so much like creative control over what goes on that label.
Right.
Because there's not like Becca, when it's time to release a new label with new people on the label, I always get the email, okay, do you like how this looks? Do you
Mm-hmm.
want this or do you want that? And I cannot say how much I appreciate that because there's
Right.
not a lot of people that would do that, especially a brewery.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To allow me to put actual people on a beer can.
Right. That is crazy, bro.
Yeah.
How come
Yeah.
you make the pictures black and white?
So the pictures are black and white. I mean, some people thought it was like an aesthetic thing. So I kind of had to clear it up, and I told him, I think that it was to get rid of the color, to so that people could just see people for being people. You know what I mean? Like, we're all different. We obviously know that. You know what I mean? And I have to train myself constantly to know that, hey, we're just people too. You know what I mean? Um, and so that's just a reminder to tell me, like, hey, man, or just to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
If you get rid of the color part, the labels and all these things, man, like, we're just people at the end of the day.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's why it's black and white. And I will say the can looks dope as fuck, black and white.
They do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they do.
But it's just, that's what it means. It's a deeper meaning to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because even then, like, I'm not saying I don't have my prejudices, my being prejudiced or this. We're all prejudiced to an extent,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a reminder that, look, man, like, check yourself.
Yeah, we're all the
You're
same.
fucking up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why I love having that name, We Are Sacramento, because even I look at it and I go, yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, no, I can't move. Like, it reminds me to move different.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I said, like, just because I started something that looks like this or it's like this doesn't mean that I don't fuck up too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it would be a hypocritical and dishonest thing for me to say that, hey, kumbaya and everybody,
Yeah.
I'm perfect. Nah, man, I fuck up more than most people. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. That's how that got started, man. So big shout out to Oak Park Brewing Company, by the way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Them for sure.
Check them out. They're for the people.
How's the beer taste for the people who don't know?
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
it's a Pilsner. It's an Amber Pilsner. And see, the funny thing about the beer, right? The Amber Pilsner is not actually a thing. That's two different things. But I told them that if we were gonna do this beer, the only way we're gonna do it is if it was brown like me. And that is the only way we can get it to be brown.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to Raj and Jeff to figure out how to make a brown Pilsner.
Right.
And it's a golden brown if the sun hits it right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not
Beautiful.
it's not like your normal Pilsner that you can kind of see through it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a great beer if, and even if you don't like the beer, fam, you'll enjoy the photography on it and,
mm-hmm.
and what it stands for.
The beer's good.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
For the people out there, the beer is great. Yeah. Go Oak Park Brewery, hop in and get yourself that We Are Sacramento beer.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, when they have it in stock. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we have it now, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you better go hop on it.
Go hop on it.
So what would you do for the community if you had no financial cap?
Oh, man. I will buy a fucking building in the middle of downtown Sacramento. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And just have this hub of just a one-stop building for everyone to come if you need something. Right? And that's where you come do it. And it will say, We Are Sacramento in the front. And if you need a lawyer, if you need an accountant, if you need a fucking plumber, if you need this, if you don't have the resources to do these things, essentially what I want We Are Sacramento to be is this thing that you look up to or look to to fix any problem you may or may not have.
Right.
Like, I don't want it to become this thing that we're just like relative to art or artists. Like, we literally, like, and it's funny because I had called Marty, shout out to Marty, another one of the owners of We Are Sacramento, like, how do we help people? How do we make a bigger impact? Like, I want to do like where we give away like paying someone's electricity bill for the month or something like that. It may not be, but that's the start of the vision, right?
Yeah, that's big.
So if I had all the money in the world and there was no end to it, like, that's what I would do. Like, buy one of the biggest buildings, just show the representation of what society is supposed to look like.
That's fire.
You know what I mean? Where no one's gonna look at you weird because you're brown, black, white, Asian, Palestinian, or Russian, whatever the hell you are. That doesn't matter. You can walk in there and ask to see someone about something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Access, right? Like, I think that's the biggest issue that people have is access. Access to information, access to help, access to money, access to life.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I mean? Existing is a horrible thing, part of life. You know what I mean? Like, how am I gonna get here? What am I gonna do tomorrow? How am I gonna pay my rent? How am I gonna pay my bills? I gotta pay the Wi-Fi. Everything you do now is required. You require technology.
Yep. And that costs money.
And that costs money. So if I had that, and I could still take care of myself and my kids, like that's what I would want. Yeah.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
Really for the people.
For the folks.
Oh, God.
I mean, I'll still get into a fight. Don't get me wrong. But essentially,
bills, though,
essentially, I just, essentially, primarily, we want to help people out, man. Yeah.
Most definitely, bro.
Yeah.
So what's next for you in We Are Sacramento?
What's next is we want to do this like beginning of summer and end of summer party. And it involves booking artists, booking food and art. So the thing that my vision for that is that when you go to any festival outside or any party thing outside, you always have three things, right? You have music, you have food, and you have art or goods that people are trying to sell you. And they're never all three are the best of the best.
Right.
You always get, oh, the food was great, but shit, the music sucked. Oh, the food was good. Oh, but the music was that, and this was, but the art. So nothing ever matches, right?
Facts.
You know what I mean? And so I want to create something that is not only an experience, but a destination where people from outside come and go, oh, shit, Sacramento has this? And all of the music that was booked for it was dope, and all of the food was dope, and all of the art and all the goods that were being everything from letter A to Z be done right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want it to become something where we took a shortcut on the food because we have to pay so much for the artist, or all these things that don't add up. So that's what I want to be next for this, and Humble Roots already jumped on to be a part of that. I've seen a couple of posters here, so big shout outs to them. I love them too. I met them, and they're pretty fire. So that's what's next, and that's what we want to create. And I think like I had said to you guys earlier before we started the interview, I think like I really just want to start providing the tools for people to just express themselves and have that, show the voice that they have to the people. It's just a matter of access again. So I think that's what's going to be next. That's what's going to be next for We Are Sacramento. And again, just multiplying on what we've been doing already, and just make it better every time. And I think upgrade. Just upgrade, not changing the morals. Or I think like the a lot of issues that I see with other brands kind of like us or whatever you may call them, like divisions are great, but then the morals change. And as you grow as a business, you can't move the goal line on people because they'll always remember you for how you started.
Right.
And then the way you move in the long run will change the way they look at you because you're no longer the person that started. So like even if someone happens to want to listen to what I'm saying today, and then 10 years later they see it again, they'll be like, that's not the same person. Right. And that's what's fucked off when it comes to society, because we feel that because our brand is growing, we gotta change. Growth and change are two different things. You know what I mean? I can grow as a person, but it's not going to change how I view the world entirely. It shouldn't. It shouldn't change how I move. It shouldn't change how I want to help people.
Right.
It shouldn't change that shit upsets me. It shouldn't all the like this clean cut image that people feel like they need to have because they grew.
Right.
You can still be yourself. There's nothing wrong with expressing yourself. That's why it goes back to what I said. Like, be unapologetic about who you are. Because the growth of your business and everything has nothing to do with who you are as a person. Yeah.
Wise words, bro. I appreciate you for coming through, bro. Dropping some knowledge to the people, man.
Hey.
That's so dope, bro.
Yeah.
Another one, G.
Peace.
Great. So, perfect. Appreciate you, my boy.
Yeah, man. All day.